Britain is to spend at least another 3 weeks in lockdown to avoid the risk of a second wave of COVID-19 infections. Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab says several factors will dictate when to ease restrictions, including a sustained drop in the daily death rate. The extension comes as fatalities rose slightly, bringing the total death toll in the UK to 13,729. But Raab insists there is evidence the measures are paying off so far.
There is light at the end of the tunnel, but we're now at both a delicate and a dangerous stage in this pandemic. If we rush to relax the measures that we have in place, we would risk wasting all the sacrifices and all the progress that has been made. And that would risk a quick return to another lockdown with all the threat to life that a second peak of the virus would bring and all the economic damage that a second lockdown would carry. So we need to be patient a while longer.
Well, let's cross straight over to London, where we can speak to Euronews reporter Angela Barnes. Angela, the Foreign Secretary there extending the lockdown, but did he give any definitive indication of when it might end?
Well, not really, Ollie. I mean, all he said as well was he just reiterated that until it was safe to do so, they would not be relaxing the measures. And that was expected. That's what we expected him to say. And that was on the advice of his chief scientific advisor, Sir Patrick Vallance. And they also reiterated this is for one of 5 key reasons, he says, to protect the NHS and to save lives, to make sure that hospitals don't reach capacity. And Dominic Raab, who's deputising for Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who's recovering from coronavirus, also reiterated their plans to increase testing up to 100,000 people per day, he said. Well, that, he also said, would give them a better indication of the spread of the virus. And they said from that as well, it will give them a better indication of when they will be able to relax the measures. Now, opposition parties have backed the government on their implementation of this lockdown, but they've also been pushing for an exit strategy from them. But at the moment, the government message very clear yet again in today's daily briefing that it's too soon to talk about that. They don't want to mix the message. They just want people to stay at home and save lives.
Angela, the briefings that are held in Downing Street, lots of charts, lots of figures are bandied about. What else can you tell us from today's briefing?
Well, I've got the latest figures here from the Department of Health, and they confirmed that a further 861 people have died after testing positive for COVID-19 in UK hospitals. Now, that brings the total number of deaths to 13,729. But this doesn't include the number of people who have died in care homes. And that's something that the government are still being heavily criticised on. It's something they touched on again in the press briefing today, that they are going to ramp up the testing to make sure more patients and residents in care homes are tested where there are symptoms. But we have had a clearer picture this week of statistics from the care homes. We've heard from 2 of the UK care home companies' biggest providers. HC1, one of them, said on Monday they operate about 350 care homes, and they said that they had 311 deaths linked to COVID-19 in outbreaks in 2/3 of their care homes. And the Methodist Homes Association, the other big UK care provider company, said that it had 210 deaths, one in 131 homes. So the statistics not very clear, and the government being very highly criticised on this and held to account. But that, the latest figures, very sobering, the clear message from the government to stay safe and stay at home.
Angela Barnes joining us there from London. Thank you very much.